Hey guys, welcome to 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to stay up to date to everything we're doing here on 3 and Out and the Volume. Hey, let's go around the league a little bit and just let's quiet it down, right? Free agency, once all the top guys go off the board, all these big trades happen. You know, there's only so much that could happen, right? Josh Allen ain't getting traded. Micah Parsons isn't going anywhere. So there's just, it is what it is. Now we kind of, most of the rosters, relatively set. We could still see something weird happen just randomly. But for the most part now, teams shift into getting value on the free agent market and really lock in for the draft. You get 30 visits. It's called the top 30. Every NFL team can fly guys in for the draft, 30 players. And these are guys, I think sometimes some off-the-field questions, maybe guys that you really like in the mid-rounds, but you want to get to know better. And you fly in, you get 24 hours. They get to hang out with the position coach, coordinator, head coach. If they're a high pick or they have character stuff, maybe the owner and the general manager spend some time with them. When I was, working in the league, I used to be the guy, my first year, pick them up, take them to different dinners, kind of go around with them. And by my second year, I didn't have to do that anymore, but you could still, I think I would just go to dinners because I was making like $50,000, you get free dinner. And if I could tag along, I went, so and you just, sometimes you're trying to throw people off the scent, right? Sometimes you bring in a guy that you don't really want to make a team think that you want. You're kind of playing those games. But in my experience, there's not a lot of that. You're actually bringing in guys you're really interested in, and you just want to get to know better. So you're going to see over the next, I would say 20 plus days, a lot of a lot of top draft guys, but just draft guys in general, visiting teams. And you get 30 of them. But you can also, at their pro day, you can do personal workouts, so you can use other areas to spend time with them. But that's the one area where you get to bring them to your facility and sit down with them and really spend all day. And try to answer any questions that you have. With some of these guys, if they've been in trouble, if, coach, even if it's not arrested or whatever, it's just maybe suspended for a game by a coach, maybe if some negative stuff was said in the program about them, you just want to get closer to the bottom of it and see what their reaction is. Because usually you feel pretty confident by this point in time in the end of March, the information that you have, right? If you have a good scouting department, because ultimately your scouts are your detectives, you've accumulated what you know, and your questions, only he can answer them, or you just got to keep digging externally outside the player as well. One thing I saw today is that Jason Light, who's one of the better general managers in football, basically hinted, we would love to have a third year and maybe more. My thing is with Tom Brady, he didn't want to retire. We've already discussed that. Now he's back, and he's kind of got the band back together. My question is with Tom moving forward, what if he has another really good year? What if they go to the NFC Championship game? What if he's a top 3 or 4 quarterback still? Why would he going to retire again and then want to come back? The reason he clearly wanted to come back is because he's still good. It's not like he can't throw. He's not coming back because Tampa's just, quarterbacks all suck and he kind of sucks too. He's coming back because he's still an elite player. So if he maintains that level of play, which there aren't really any signs that it's, like, think about Roethlisberger arm strength shot. Manning had no arm. Breeze, no arm. This guy's arm is still excellent. I think the final pass of last season is the bomb that he threw on Jalen Ramsey to Mike Evans. His arm is not the question. So I don't think it's crazy to think that he has another good year and he's interested in coming back again. Now, is he going to play till he's 50? It would seem like no, but who is in the business of writing Tom Brady off right now? Sure, I wouldn't be in that business because he was the best 44-year-old player we've ever seen in the history of the league. Non-kicker. It doesn't get any better than that. 44 years old and be the second best quarterback in terms of MVP, votes in the league. That's honestly, is that an underrated Tom Brady accomplishment? It's like, what are all of his accomplishments? Super Bowls, MVPs. When Tom Brady, think about telling you someone this like in 30 years. This dude, he was already the greatest quarterback by a wide margin, played at 44 years old. 44. And it took Aaron Rodgers, one of his best seasons ever, who's also one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That was the guy that beat him out for the MVP. If it wasn't for that player, Tom Brady at 44 would have been the MVP of the league. I don't think next year Gisele's pressuring him. Like, hey guys, I don't think his kids care, but I think it's his wife. Gisele, I'm in the peak of my powers. I will retire when I suck. And when I suck, I got no problem being stay-at-home dad, making some waffles in the morning. I can't eat them. Well, I guess I could if I retire. Playing a little golf here and there, working out, hanging out, doing some NFTs, whatever the hell Tom Brady's going to do in retirement. Do that Brady brand, do some business deals, kick it. I'm not there yet. Because why? Because I dominate when I play football. I throw a lot of touchdowns. I don't throw a lot of interceptions. I'm still elite. Who wants to walk away from a job when they're still elite at it and they get paid a lot of money and they enjoy it? Say this out loud. If you like your job, if you're good at your job, you're highly compensated at your job, and combining them all, you just really enjoy everything about your job, say that out loud. Would you want to quit that job? No. You'd want to keep doing it. You're like, wait, I'm getting paid a lot. I love what I do, and I'm freaking good at it. Why would I walk away? For who? For what? I think that's what Tom realized. I saw Jimmy Trania. He used to cover like the media for SI. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but he tweeted something out a couple days ago. It's going to be funny when Thursday Night Football happens in early September, and half the country can't figure out how to watch it. And I got to be honest, I'm not trying to act like some young, progressive, super hip guy. But if you don't have Amazon Prime in 2022, I'm sorry, you feel a little out of touch. Now, I don't think having Amazon Prime is quite like not having a computer or a cell phone, but it's much closer to that than like not having Paramount Plus or something. Like Amazon Prime provides you, the reason I have Amazon Prime is I got it for free shipping. So most people, every single where I go, whether I go to my mom's house, whether I go to a buddy's house, whether I'm at my house, every single person has Amazon packages getting delivered to their house. I would imagine the percentage of people that use Amazon has dramatically increased over the last several years. If you would have done this in 2016, 17, 18, it would have been a culture shock for sure. In 2022, I don't think so. And I tweeted, I don't know a single human that does not have Amazon Prime. And some people responded that my 87-year-old dad has it but doesn't even know how to use it. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. Jeff Bezos, and this my mom's in her 70s, does not care about those people, whether they watch or they don't. He does not care. He also did not get into this business for television ratings. He's not a network. He does not give a shit. This is a line item to him, just like Whole Foods was when he bought it for $15 billion. He wants in on the NFL business. Whether 2 million people watch the first Thursday night game or 10 million people watch, it doesn't really impact him. Now, I don't know. I haven't read up how he's going to do with ads and stuff. It's a subscription model. You have to subscribe to it to watch it. He wouldn't even necessarily have to do ads. That's not his business model. His business model is the ratings are irrelevant. But definitely who's irrelevant are older people. And when I say older people, people in their 70s and their 80s. He wants everyone in their 50s, their 60s, and their 30s and their 20s, people that are going to use his product, which is Amazon.com, for a long period of time to subscribe. And let's face it, most of us already are. I wonder what percentage of people, let's just pick an even number. Let's say 10 million people. That number's low. The first game of the season's on Thursday night. Let's say it's 25 million people that are watching in 2021 that watched the first NFL game on Thursday night. Let's use an even number, 20 million people. What percentage of those people last year had Amazon Prime? If I had to guess, I'd say 70+%. 70+%. And then a year later, another incremental amount got it, another 10, 15%. Because I know this, as someone that didn't have that many streaming services probably 2 or 3 years ago, I have every single one now. I don't even use half of them. I got Paramount Plus, I got Stars, I got Hulu, I got Apple Plus. The only one I don't have is Disney Plus, mainly because I'm not that into Marvels and I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would have Disney Plus. Netflix, Amazon Prime. I have a cable service that I pay $300 for. Like, I got it all. But I'm also like, everywhere I go, most people I meet, they have a bunch too. So I don't think this notion of like, where's everyone going to find streaming services? It's like, what's a podcast? People said that in 2010. Do you know what young people say now? What the fuck's a newspaper? What's ABC? If you don't watch sports, you never go to ABC. If you met a 22-year-old kid right now and they weren't into sports, they wouldn't know what ABC, NBC, and CBS is. They have never been on those channels. Not once in their teen and future adult life. And they'll never go to them. So the game changes. Things that feel for older people like no, it's changed. It's over. You know, this isn't 5 years ago. Things happen very, very fast. I think Amazon Prime, there will be some people that can't find it. And I've had some people that reached out that were like, I'm a fireman. In our fire station, we don't have good internet. We have Amazon Prime, but the streaming, like that will be a problem. Like, that sucks. But I'd say if you have YouTube TV or whatever, like, is NFL Network, like, people have battled with NFL Network before. So it's just different, you know, same shit, different pile, right? I mean, this is just a new problem, but I think the problem is a little bit overrated. And here's the other thing. Bezos is not, Fox got rid of Thursday Night Football because it wasn't making them money. They got rid of PGA Tour Golf and U.S. Open because they didn't feel comfortable they were going to be able to make money. Jeff Bezos ain't into this, like, big picture, he's in it for the money. He ain't worried about a profit year one or year two. He's worried about getting in on the business. This is all a line item to him. All a line item. Whether it's a $8 billion acquisition, $15 billion acquisition, this guy's playing in a deeper end of the pool than everyone else. You know, so this notion that he's worried about your 69-year-old uncle can't figure it out, like, he doesn't care. Of course, the Patriots signed Malcolm Butler. Remember Malcolm Butler, who signed after that Super Bowl where he did not play against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was an enormous story. Tom Brady was pissed, didn't play a snap because he was sick or didn't practice hard or wasn't paying attention or who knows. The story never has really been substantiated. Might even be the wrong word, but I would say verified what really happened. Not that I necessarily really care, but you lose J.C. Jackson, you get Malcolm Butler. The problem is J.C. Jackson is a lot better player, and now you add Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs. Like, I don't think Malcolm Butler's covering any of those guys, but maybe Bill and that, you know, defensive staff, they just know how to coach better than everyone else. But nobody, and I repeat, nobody loves getting their players back at cheap amounts of money after they sign big free agent contracts, quite like Bill Belichick. And smart move by these players because they go back and they have more success. I talked to someone, a buddy of mine, that is associated with Lincoln Riley from a business standpoint. And I'm not, you know, going to divulge everything I was told, but bottom line, I heard a lot of the details. There's a lot of information that has gone on the last several months, right, about the deal that Lincoln Riley got from USC. Just know this, everything that's out there, his deal is actually sweeter. And this guy, buddy of mine, is basically a financial advisor, planner, you know, investor. He knows people that are he's just in business with doing their money, infinitely have more money than Lincoln Riley. And when he described some of the details of the deal, it was a no-brainer. Lincoln Riley did not plan on leaving Oklahoma. Just like a lot of people that can be in great situations don't plan on doing things. He got something laid in front of him that was just too good to pass up. Period, point blank, end of story. There's nothing, I repeat, nothing Oklahoma could have done to match the deal. And then when you factor in the deal is elite, also, where he's going to go coach? He can win there. It's actually just as easy to win, and the path is easier to get to the playoffs at USC than it is at Oklahoma. Because ultimately, now the Baylor's good. You know, Texas isn't going to suck forever. You know, the Big 12 is actually pretty solid. The Pac-12 is not. Pac-12 has two good, basically, programs over the last couple of years. It's Oregon and Utah. And USC's in their side of the division, so they only got to deal with Utah. And let's face it, Utah and USC are not recruiting the same players. But Lincoln Riley just had his first practice, and it's exciting. You know, it's a really big deal, I know, for us on the West Coast, just to have USC be relevant again. Now, a buddy of mine who now coaches or works in the ACC, used to work in the Pac-12, last year they played him, and I remember texting him a couple days later, and he was shocked how terrible they were on the line of scrimmage. He's like, bro, they are not very good. Like, whoever gets this job, because at the time, Lincoln hadn't taken the job or anything. Clay was probably gone by then. But he was shocked how terrible their talent is. Now, Lincoln churned over the roster, and because of the transfer portal, it's easier. It's like the NFL. You can reset your team a lot easier than it used to be 10 years ago in college football. But I would say this year, 9-3 would be an excellent start to Lincoln. But big picture, when you are getting paid and this many perks at the amount of money in which he's getting, and a program whose expectations will be not to just make the playoffs. Now, once he makes the playoffs for the first time, it'll be celebrated. But ultimately, their goal the next 5 years will be to win a national championship. That is what's going to be the expectation is. I would say anything less than being in a national championship game in the next handful of years, I would say 5, is going to be a disappointment. When people pay you a shitload of money, when you get paid quote-unquote max value in any industry, the expectations skyrocket, right? The reason everyone's shitting on Russell Westbrook is because he makes $45 million a year. No one would be making fun of him if he makes 9. He makes a historic freight, and he's terrible. It's like, what are we paying you for? Like, if I'm a Laker fan, like, we're using a max slot on this guy? The hell are we doing? If I pay a CEO $35 million a year in a public company, and then the stock plummets, and everything he does doesn't work out, he ain't going to last long. It's what the money is for. It's why you get paid all that money is to produce. In certain places, if I go to K-State, win 8-9 games, I'll get contract extensions for my entire career. I do that at Oregon State. If I'm Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, they beat Notre Dame in a BCS Bowl. That's the biggest, as he said, biggest win in program's history. Lincoln Riley's expected to beat Notre Dame every single year now. Lincoln Riley's expected to be in the Final Four every single year. Not necessarily this year, but like after about 24 months, you get, 10 plus million and all the other perks. And he knows that. And that's part of, I think why coaches it's why Brian Kelly went to LSU. Because I think he realized I'm never going to win a national championship at Notre Dame. LSU offered me a historic amount of money, right? $95, $100 million. And I think that I can win a natty at LSU. Why? Because the last 3 coaches have. I am going to take a swing, not against a AA pitcher. I want to swing against Pedro Martinez. I want to swing against Clayton Kershaw or Tim Lincecum. I don't want to keep taking swings against, some 3 starters. And the occasional 1 starter, but I'm never going to be able to make it to the World Series. And that, I think, is why Lincoln Riley's now at USC. I think why Brian Kelly's now at LSU. And it's going to be a really, really fun college football season, all the movement. I'm really excited and I watched some of Lincoln's press conference on the field after his first practice. You could tell he was excited. I mean, it's just sometimes change invigorates you. You see how happy Matt Ryan is. I've had some people DM me, and I think Matt Ryan might even mention this. I just started to feel stale. Sometimes, you start feeling stale, especially when you're making a lot of money. It's good to get a jolt. Matt Ryan now is just got something to prove, right? He has been on irrelevant teams the last couple of years. Now he's going to a team with a stacked roster, a team that, should be a lock to make the playoffs. Hell, they should win the division or at least compete with Tennessee. So sometimes change. I think Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Matt Ryan, these guys are going to bring it this year. I mean, I like all 3 of them to win. Brian Kelly probably has the toughest path, right? A&M stacked. Alabama's rolling. Ole Miss probably come back to earth a little bit, but, Georgia's tough. Isn't that? I guess LSU plays Florida every year. We'll see how good they are. But, exciting times. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.